Barakah, Halal, Yahawah, Ba'ashem, YAHAWASHI, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Barakat Yahawah, Barakat Yahushai. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well through the Spirit. A mighty shalom to the hopeful elect, scattered four corners of the earth, teaching his word and believing his word in the same Spirit. Shalom to the Akwat Yum, believers of his faith and his truth. Lord willing that you continue to pursue your lot, which is being a loving and silent and virtuous wife. And Lord willing, YAHAWASHI have mercy on the other brothers and sisters that's not in the faith. This lesson is I asked ChatGPT, does YAHAWASHI image matters? Came across the elder of GMS South Carolina, who does beautiful videos on great points on his side, but he brings edification to certain points of brutish Israelites or people that come against this truth, right? And my sister was saying that she didn't even care what the image of YAHAWASHI is. She cared about the ministry. The image, his color reflection is not going to help us get salvation. But then before her speaking, he showed a clip of an Edomite, a so-called YT, a white man, saying Jesus and the Israelites are black. He said that his people, conquer multiple nations, and especially the black Latinos and natives, and try to reflect themselves as us, and it was beautiful just to see an Edomite tell on his own people. So why I had dozed off and I woke up, I'm like, let me ask ChatGPT this. After I asked, came across some information, and I was about to go to sleep, and I seen the brother from GMS LA, but his YouTube channel, GMS Inspiration and Motivation, he was doing a video on that AI is bringing forth a new image of YAHAWASHI, of the Messiah, of the Hamashiach. And I'm like, dang. So that just gave me confirmation I have to do this. So since everybody is outside eating at work, Lord willing, I could bring this out, and this is edifying. So let's see what ChatGPT said. So we're going to start at the top and try to run through all of this before I go back. Salaki, let me turn this on. So I asked, is the image of YAHAWASHI important? Yes, the image of YAHAWASHI is important, but not in the sense of just having a physical picture to look at, right? Because now it's going to go a little deeper with the image. It's going to give you a physical detail, which through scriptures, and then it's going to speak about the spiritual image. It says, according to scriptures, the image of YAHAWASHI has a spiritual meaning first, and historical truth meaning second. Spiritually being conformed to his image, the Bible emphasizes that believers are to be like YAHAWASHI in character, right? Our characteristics, righteousness, and obedience. It gave Romans 8:29, for whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his son. And that's the elect, starting with them, the men that were predetermined, to be conformed to the image of the son. Colossians 3:10, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. 1 John 2:6, he that saith he abideth in him ought himself also so to walk even as he walked, right? So if we abide in YAHAWASHI, remain in YAHAWASHI, we must walk like him. Another reflection of spiritually looking like him. This means his true image is reflected in our conduct, our wisdom, and spirit. Historically, truth versus lies about appearance. The scriptures do give a record of his physical traits. And that truth matters because false images have been used to deceive the world. True. Revelations 14:15, which is plain. Hair like wool, straight we can always point that as African Americans, so-called Jakes have woolly hair. Now, of course, you might have some even in the Northern Kingdom, right? But Judah, so-called African Americans in this modern time, especially in Babylon, they're known for woolly hair. Fine like fire. It's like it, not fine. Feet like fine brass, as if it burned in a furnace. Now, we can see a penny as a light bronze, but if it's burned in a furnace, it's giving you more detail. Bronze and then burnt in a furnace. If you burn brass, it gets a charcoal burnt look. So Yahawashi looks like a charcoal burnt look, right? He's basically brown, a dark brown. Daniel chapter 10, verse 5 and 6, description of the Hamashiach in glory aligns with Revelation. When we go to Revelation 1, that's John the Revelator seeing Yahawashi in his glorified form, with the girdle on, the paps, a garment down to the paps to his foot, right? St. John 8 and 32, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. The truth is Yahawashi, right? When we know his name, that's another thing that is very important. Where people say, I don't think the name is important. If the name is not important, why are you saying Jesus? Right? Why don't you just don't even say nothing if name don't matter? To me, I'm just using that as a critical contradiction. If people saying the name don't matter, why are we using the name Jesus? So just like his image is important, his name is important, right? His true name, right? Since false whitewashed images like the Renaissance era Caesar Borgia depiction have been used to push false doctrine and supremacy, restoring the truth of his appearance also restore our identity and tear down deception. And this is true. As soon as when the understanding of what Yahawashi looked like, even more we go further to who the children of the Lord is, especially when we go back in time, starting with Genesis, leading all the way up to Jacob and Esau. Very plain and simple. But this is not something that you argue or debate, because those of the faith, you're going to get it. If you don't get it, hey, maybe the Lord know in your heart you're not going to receive this, right? So the conclusion, yes, the image of Yahawashi matters, both spiritually, living in his likeness, and historically holding to the truth of what the scriptures say about him instead of lies. But the spiritual likeness is the main thing we must live by daily. This is the fact. Living in this truth, spiritually, you must be a reflection of Yahawashi, right? Of course. But you have to know that when it comes to teaching and going to these scriptures, his image is important. Because if his image is not important, why would somebody change it? So we have to talk about it. So then it ends up asking me, if you want, I can show precepts proving any false images are idolatry and why the true image should be restored. That way you'll see both sides clearly. So I said yes. So it's going to give us precepts proving both why false images are idolatry and why the true image of Yahawashi should be restored. So this is what this ministry is doing. It's restoring Yahawashi name, his doctrine, and who is the children of the Lord, right? The images of the judges. So false images are idolatry. The scriptures strictly forbid making or worshiping false depictions of the Most High or the Son, right? And these is images that you're worshiping, right? Outside of the image that you've seen me start with, brothers use these depictions as a correct depiction that can symbolize Yahawashi. But it's nowhere where brothers is using these images to say worship, right? When we even talk about don't make a graven image, when you go into graven, it goes into somebody molding metal and making an image like a golden calf, right? So these are the scriptures going into idolatry. Exodus 23 and 5. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. Now, when we look at the images that brothers might use just for edification, brothers is not bowing down to these images. So we're talking about the false images because we know our Lord is above. When you come in as faith, we don't need no idol. We don't need no image to bow down to, because that image is not about to leap off the page and do shit for us, right? Common sense. Deuteronomy 4 verse 15-16. Take ye therefore good heed, lest ye corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure. Acts 17:29. For as much then as we are the offspring of the Most High, we ought not to think that the Godhead is like unto gold or silver or stone, graven by art and man's hand. That's how you make a graven image, with metal, right? Gold, silver, stone, however it may be. We know Esau, a lot of times he carved things with stone, just like in Buffalo, New York, they carved David, but he an Edomite, butt naked, right? Okay, so meaning the white Jesus, we gonna say what it is, because we know YAHAWASHI is not white, of the Renaissance is a graven image created by man's imagination, not by truth. Worshiping it is idolatry, right? Caesar Borgia, his father, Alexander VI, Pope VI, he had an image of his son portrayed and pushed four corners of the earth, right? It's a TV show, the Borgia family. Definitely should watch it. The scriptures reveal the true image. The Bible gives physical description to keep us from believing lies. We read Revelations chapter 1, verse 14 and 15, right? If you were here, you heard it. Daniel's 10, 5 and 6, we read it if you were paying attention earlier. Hebrews 7, verse 14, for it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, the tribe of Judah, which the scriptures are described as dark-skinned. Jeremiah 14 and 2 and Limitations 4 and 8. But I believe the understanding of Jeremiah 14 and 2 is the opposite of what they're trying to put, right? But let's keep going. Meaning, knowing his true description breaks the power of false Europeanized depictions. That is true. The image we must bear. The Bible says we must reflect the YAHAWASHI both in truth and in spirit. What is that? St. John 4, verse 24. The true worshipers worship YAHAWASHI in truth and spirit. Romans 8 and 29. Predestined to conform to the image of his son, which we read. Colossians 3 and 10, which we read. 1 John chapter 3, verse 2 and 3. When he shall appear, we shall be like him. Philippians chapter 3, verse 21. Who shall change our veiled body into his glorious body, right? Meaning, we don't just acknowledge his true appearance, we also live like him. They're gonna ask again, and I'm gonna say yes. If you want, I can put together a full breakdown showing how the whitewash image was introduced during the Renaissance and how prophecy says this would happen, so you see the historical side as well as the spiritual that ties everything together. I said yes, let's get into it. So here's a full breakdown of the whitewash image of YAHAWASHI was introduced during the Renaissance, right? Renaissance is the rebirth, right? The rebirth of what? The rebirth of Rome. And how prophecy said this deception would happen, right? Wisdom of Solomon, the 14th chapter, is very beautiful to go into because it goes into idolatry. These things wasn't here in the beginning, and they're not going to be here in the end. These things were just here for a moment, right? Prophecy of false images. The Bible foretold that the world would create and worship a fake image of the Hamashiach. Matthew 24:24, for there shall rise false Hamashiachs and false prophets, and so much that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect, which it is people on the earth imitating, trying to say that they're YAHAWASHI, Hamashiach. You got some that come in other names, but they're describing themselves as the son of the Most High Yahweh. Yosef, Yaju, Jesus Crip. It's some other dude on TikTok that say he is too. But then we have the spiritual attribute of who comes in that, try to come in the image of YAHAWASHI, but it's a deception of a damn European. And then of course they turn the images of the judges thereof, which we see in Job 9 and 24, 1 Maccabees 3 and 48, right? Revelations 13. Revelations 13, verse 14, 15. So like my brother was talking to me. The beast deceiveth them, saying to them that they should make an image to the beast, and cause that as many as would not worship the image should be killed. Now, second. Now, I know IUIC and probably other camps try to use the JC picture image, but this is not the JC image. It's already deceiving the masses, so they're not about to make a new one or upgrade. Okay, this image is going into the new world system, the system that they're making. And this new system, this new image is reflecting on the rulers that's ruling the earth, right? The freaking JC, Caesar Borgia picture is already established in the earth, right? This is something new. So they're going to be done away with the old age and try to bring in the new, like Antiochus Epiphanes. Let's all leave our laws, commandments, and our ways and our customs and our culture, and let's be one people. And this is what this system is going to push, a one world system, right? So this is not going into the image of YAHAWASHI, but this shows an example of pushing a false narrative, right? Really to put people under subjection into a false system, right? Or a false image, if we could say. Job 9 and 24, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he, right? This covering is both literal, artwork, history, and spiritual truth hidden, right? So what do? They're judges. You got YAHAWASHI, the 12 apostles, the Israelites just as a whole, right? Because you have the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the teachers, the men of the Lord, and the daughters of Zion, and the children, right? Where it's people depicting themselves as the true children of Yahweh Shema Shai, and it's all lies, right? So, meaning a false Hamashiach image was part of Satan's plan to deceive the nations. Historical fulfillment, Renaissance, white Jesus, the most famous false image of YAHAWASHI is based on Caesar Borgia, the son of Pope Alexander VI of Rome, around 1492 to 1500s. During the Renaissance, the Catholic Church commissioned European painters like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo to depict Hamashiach and the angels as white Europeans. Go check out and look into history. Caesar Borgia likeness replaced the biblical description. This became the standard image in churches worldwide. This match 1 Maccabees 3 and 48, and lay open up the book of the law wherein the heathen has sought to paint the likeness of their images. This goes all the way back into the Greek captivity and the Rome captivity, right? And all the way in America. So this is nothing new under the earth, right? Because even when you go into Greek captivity or Rome captivity, they was even calling themselves gods, right? The meaning, the physical deception was a political weapon to destroy the true identity of Israel and exalt the oppressor. True. Why it matters. John 8 and 32, which we read earlier. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. This is truth. And you can always go fact check these things, right? Knowing the true description, restored identity. YAHAWASHI was a dark-skinned man from the tribe of Judah, not a pale European. This is AI. This is a computer-generated getting data. Not data from me. It's checking all cookies. All cookies either on your phone, on the internet, because it's a search engine, right? This is not skin color pride, but a truth versus lie issues. False images uphold false doctrine. The true image breaks that. The spiritual image still comes first. Even though history matters, scriptures warns not to stop at knowing his appearance. So don't just stop at knowing his appearance, right? We must also bear his spiritual likeness. So you really, like what I say in certain lessons, you know, like a greedy person or a greedy child, when it's two desserts, a peach cobbler, a cherry pie, you be like, which one you want? And that person say, I want both. You have to be greedy and get both. get the physical image or appearance of YAHAWASHI and get the spiritual likeness of YAHAWASHI. It's not bad. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 49, as we have borne the image of the earthly, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly, right? And that's really talking about us. And that goes back to our veiled body is going to be changed in like his glorious body, right? So we got this earthly body. Us Israelites is going to go and get that heavenly body, especially the 144,000. They're going to get back that glory they had before. 2 Corinthians 3 and 18, change into the same image from glory to glory, meaning truth in history should lead to transformation in the spirit, right? First, we start on the earth, right? Which we doing now, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, where the Lord is molding us inwardly. And then eventually YAHAWASHI is going to come and deliver us. And we're going to physically have a change, right? So, Lord willing, this is edifying and straight to the point. Again, you know, you could do your own research. Again, the TV show Caesar Borgia is a beautiful TV show. It goes to certain points. You can read the Maccabees. But first, before all, you must believe. Before you just take word for word, or even when you're doing your own research or you're trying to contradict, first establish the points why you don't believe and use scriptures to back up why you don't believe. Because if you don't believe and you're trying to contradict it, don't put yourself in a hole, right? Treat yourself, don't trick yourself. Take your time, because even without ChatGPT, brothers can go into scriptures because we have faith. Let alone the Lord removed us from our language, remove us from our inheritance, the law, our customs, who we are. And this is part of the punishment. So we have to be students to actually investigate and dig to search for the matter. So I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shem Al-Shai, Ba'ashem HaKadosh, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahweh, double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Almighty Shalom to the hopeful elect. And with that, Shalom, Shalom, above all.